The successors of Shivaji. Shivaji is considered as the founder and consolidator of the Maratha Empire, but under Peshwas, the prime minister of the empire, expanded greatly. Ghatages, Nibalkars were most influential Maratha family. The Maratha Empire or the Maratha Confederacy is located in the southwest of present-day India. They ruled from 1674 to 1818 and extended their territories. Shivaji is considered as the founder and consolidator of the Maratha Empire, but under Peshwas, the prime minister of the empire, expanded greatly. Ghatages, Nibalkars were most influential Maratha family. Sambhaji, AD 1680–80. He was younger son of Shivaji, who ascended the throne after success in War of Succession against his elder brother Rajaram. He resumed his father's expansionist policies to avoid Rajput-Maratha alliance, as well as to resume his long relations with the Deccan Sultanates. In AD 1682, the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb himself headed South India with his entire imperial court, administration, and an army of about 180,000 troops, which proceeded to conquer the sultanates of Bijapur and Golconda. But unfortunately, he was caught, tortured, and then painfully dismembered. Rajaram, AD 1689–1700. After the death of Sambhaji, Shivaji's another son took crown and started the legacy of Marathas. He started Marathas' legacies of expansionist policy and launched an attack upon the Mughal territories in Deccan. In October AD 1689, Mughal army under Zulfikar Khan launched an attack upon Raigad. All the members of Sambhaji's family, including his son Sahu, were made captive. He died in AD 1700 at Satara, which had become the capital after the fall of Jinji. Shivaji and Tarabai, AD 1700–1707. Tarabai was the widow of Rajaram, put on the throne to Shivaji, who was the son and became the regent. She gave stability to the Maratha state during crises in civil and military affairs equally. Tarabai was deposed by Mughals with the help of a Chitpavan Brahmin named Balaji Vishwanath. Sahu, AD 1707–1749. The Mughal Emperor Bahadur Shah released Shahu, which led the foundation of civil war between him and Tarabai. Shahu defeated Tarabai at the Battle of Khade, October 12, 1707, and occupied Satara. His reign saw the rise of Peshwaship and transformation of the Maratha kingdom into an empire based on the principle of confederacy. During his reign, Maratha kingdom was split into part Kolhapur under Tarabai and Satara under Shahu. In 1731, the two feuds were finally settled through Treaty of Varna. Conclusion. Hence, we can say Shivaji was the founder of Maratha state but expanded greatly under the Peshwaship. GK questions and answers on history of India. Maratha administration. Published by Jagranjosh. The Maratha administration can be studied under three heads: central administration, revenue administration, and military administration. Maratha's system of administration was largely borrowed from the administrative practices of the Deccan states. Maratha state appointed Hindus on high post and made Marathi as an official language instead of Persian. They prepared their own statecraft dictionary, i.e. Raja Vyakaran Kosh, for official use. The Maratha administration can be studied under three heads: central administration, revenue administration, and military administration. Central administration. It was founded by Shivaji for the sound system of administration, which was greatly inspired from the Deccan style of administration. Most of the administrative reforms were inspired from Malik Amber reforms in Ahmednagar. The king was the supreme head of state, who was assisted by a group of 8 ministers known as the Ashtapradhan. The Asthapradhan. Peshwa, or the chief minister, he looked after general administration. Amatya or Majumdar, accountant general, he later became revenue and finance master. Sachiv or Surunavis, also called Chittanis, he looked after the royal correspondence. Sumant or Debir, foreign affairs and the master of royal ceremonies. Senapati or Sariyai, Norbert, military commander. He looked after the recruitment, training and discipline of army. Mantri or Vikya Navis, personal safety of the king, he looked after the intelligence, post and household affairs. Nyayadhish, administration of justice. Panditrav, looking after charitable and religious affairs of the state. He worked for the moral upliftment of the people. Apart from the departmental duties, 3 of the ministers, Peshwas, Shiva and the Mantri, were also given in charge of extensive provinces. All ministers, except the Panditrav and the Nyayadesh, had to serve in a war whenever necessary. Minister was assisted by a staff of 8 clerks. Diwan, secretary. Mujumdar, auditor and accountant. Fadnis, deputy auditor. Sabnis or Daftardar, office in charge. Karkhanis, commissary. Kaitans, correspondence clerk. Jamdar, treasurer. Potnis, cashier. Shivaji divided entire territory into 3 provinces, each under a viceroy. He further divided the provinces into prants, then pargana and tarafs. The lowest unit was the village, which was headed by its headman or patel. Revenue administration. Shivaji abolished the Jagirdari system and replaced with Ryotwari system, and changes in the position of hereditary revenue officials, which was popularly known as Deshmukhs, Deshpande, Patils and Kulkarnis. Shivaji strictly supervised the Marathas who had hereditary rights in land. The revenue system was patterned on the Kathi system of Malik Amber. According to this system, every piece of land was measured by rod or kathi. Chauth and Sardesh Mukhi were other sources of income. Chauth was amounted to 1/4 of the standard, which was paid to Marathas as a safeguard against Shivaji's forces plundering or raiding non-Maratha territories. Sardesh Mukhi was an additional levy of 10% demanded from areas outside from the kingdom. Military administration. Shivaji organized a disciplined and efficient army. The ordinary soldiers were paid in cash, but big chief and military commander were paid through Jagir grants, Saranjam or Moksha. The army consists of infantry, i.e. Mavali foot soldiers, cavalry, i.e. horse riders and equipment holders, navy. Military personnel. Sahai Nobat, Senapati. In charge of army. Kiladas, officers of forts. Nayak, head of the member unit of infantry. Havaldar, head of 5 Nayaks. Jumladar, head of 5 Nayaks. Ghurav, boats laden with guns. Galivat, rowing boats 40 to 50 rowers. Pack foot soldiers. The army was effective instrument of policies of Maratha state, where rapidity of movement was the most important factors. Only in the rainy season, the army get rested, otherwise rest of the year was engaged in expeditions. Pindaris were allowed to accompany the army, who were allowed to collect palpati, which was 25% of war booty. Conclusion. Maratha's system of administration was largely borrowed from the administrative practices of the Deccan states. Hence, the Marathas had important positions among administrative and military system in the contemporary kingdoms, especially Ahmednagar and Bijapur. GK questions and answers on history. Peshwas under Maratha Empire, detailed overview. Published by Jagranjosh. Marathas were the most violent tribes in India who established a strong confederacy in Deccan region. Peshwas were the loyal ministers of Maratha state who were appointed to assist the king in different administrative as well as political affairs. Marathas were the most violent tribes in India who established a strong confederacy in Deccan region. They came on the ladder of politics and rule after the death of Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, the local leader Shivaji, who established an independent Maratha nation in 1674. Their administrative system was the combination of Hindu and Muslim institution. Moreover, with the introduction of the Peshwa Raj, several changes were made in the administrative system of the Marathas. Maratha Confederacy. The origin of the Maratha Confederacy may be traced to the revival of the Jagir or Saranjam system by Rajaram. The bases of this system were laid during the time of Balaji Rao I. In this process, Sahu issued letters of authority to his various Maratha Sardars for collecting taxes like Chauth or Sardesh Mukhi from various parts of the territory. Maratha Confederacy consisted of very important Maratha Jagirdars, I. Raghuji Bhonsle of Berar, E. Gaikwad of Baroda, E. Holkar of Indore, I. V. Sindar of Gwalior, V. Peshwa of Pune. Marathas under Peshwa. Peshwas were the loyal ministers of Maratha state who were appointed to assist the king in different administrative as well as political affairs. Among 7 Peshwas, Balaji Rao I was the ablest Peshwas and rest were very weak. Balaji Vishwanath, AD 1713 to 1721, he was appointed as a Peshwa Prime Minister by Sahuji in 1713 to assist a young Shahu for consolidation of the empire. He raised the Marathas' empire into zenith points after winning over almost all the Sardar to the side of Shahu. He made the post very important as well as hereditary. Bajirao Peshwa AD 1721 to 1740, he was the eldest son of Balaji Vishwanath, succeeded him as Peshwas at the young age of 20. He was known for his guerrilla tactics after Shivaji. Balaji Baji Rao, AD 1740 to 1761, he was popularly known as Nana Sahib, who succeeded his father at the age of 20. He died in 1761 after hearing that his son, Vishwas Rao, and cousin, Sadasiv, died at the battlefield of Panipat. Peshwa Madhav Rao I, he was the eldest surviving member of the Peshwas family who became de facto ruler of the state, but after his death, the Peshwaship lost its essence. Administration of Peshwas. The Peshwas named their secretariat as Huzur Daftar, which was situated in Pune. Under Peshwaship, the feudal lords ruled independently over their jagirs. They divided the village into small units for administration, which were headed by the Patels. Kulkanias assists them in keeping the documents of village. Porters were meant to inspect the currency. Balut system. Under this system, farmers had to make payment in kind, but most of the times they have to pay agricultural produce every year after harvesting. The bigger units of administration were Taraf, Pargana, Sarkar and Suba, where Mamlatkar was the highest personnel, who was assisted by Kamvisdar. To check corruption, Deshmukh, Deshpande and directors were appointed. Conclusion. Hence, politically the ground for establishment of independent Maratha state was prepared by the advance of Mughal armies in the south. The fall of Khandesh, the gradual disappearance of the Ahmednagar and the creation of the Mughal viceroyalty in the Deccan region affected every aspect of Maratha life, which induced an awakening among the Marathas as a nation under the leadership of Shivaji and others. But unfortunately, the legacies of Maratha's confederacy get decayed in front of the British imperialism.